Audience, tell them who you are and where
Yes.
they can find you.
Well, thank you so much, Julie DeLucca-Collins. I am a business and life strategy coach, authority mentor, TEDx speaker. That's my new title. Author and podcaster of the Casa de Confidence podcast. You can find me on all the platforms, social media platforms at Julie DeLucca-Collins. But my website is Go Confidently Services, and that's what I help individuals to create the confidence to live the life they have imagined and to grow in their business or create the type of mindset that allows them to live life to the fullest with the freedom and um, just everyday excitement that makes you happy to know where you are.
So I guess my first question for you is when you mentioned building confidence, how does that look for each and every person? Because I know maybe for me, it's a little bit different than it will look for you. So how do we build confidence to look like the way that we want it to look that will benefit our life?
One of the biggest misconceptions that we have about confidence is that confidence is that feeling we get or that we're born with. But I want to question that form of thought. And I want to encourage your listeners to kind of start to notice that there is always going to be areas in our life in which we're not confident. We are humans, and there's so many things that we are beginners, that we're not experienced at doing. And of course, when we're going to try something new, we're going to lack the level of confidence that somebody else that's been at it for a long time may have. So that is the first thing that I want to encourage your listeners, because when we think and compare, like, oh my gosh, look how great that show is, right? And I love what they're doing. And I look at my show and I'm like, oh, I could never do that, right? Then we bring ourselves down. Our brain is programmed to keep us safe. And when things are new, then we immediately are going to start to qualify them. We're immediately going to go into this space where we are thinking, we're not enough. We can never do it, or I will never be that good. So the first thing that we need to do is just kind of bring awareness and know and normalize that it's okay to be a beginner. For instance, when you started riding your bike, did you know how to ride your bike immediately? You probably needed training wheels, right? And you needed to keep trying. And that's the same thing with everything. And the more you try to do the thing that you're not sure about, the more that you're going to start to build your confidence. And that's a little bit of what I help my clients with, is creating the daily action, creating the habits, creating the momentum, or even that first step to start to find the evidence that they can do the things that will help them be more confident.
That bicycle analogy is so spot on. I remember when I was learning to ride a bike, I must have fell off that bike a dozen times. Good Lord. And I just couldn't figure it out. And this actually, we can expand on that, is I knew how to pedal. It was
Mhm.
the balance, right?
Yes,
And in our
absolutely.
life, that's what it is, right? Sometimes we are pulled in so many different directions, we become unbalanced, imbalanced.
Mhm.
And one thing that I want to share this year is I made it a point to take a step away. Either it's a
Mm,
road trip, either it's a vacation somewhere else. I know that you and I were talking where it's
yeah.
just, I need a break from everything, not from showering, of course,
Yes.
but just a break from everything. And then I figure it out. Hey, this is kind of fun. I was discovering things that I didn't realize that I enjoyed. So when you're dealing with your clients and you're helping them build their confidence and how you're breaking the misconceptions.
Mm.
When you work with them, do you find out that they find confidence in things that maybe before they started working with you, they had no idea that they enjoyed?
One of the things that I see with a lot of individuals is that there are two camps. There's the camp that this is what my life should look like, and this is the life I'm living. And for many individuals, we should ourselves and we say, I should be doing this. I should have that success, or I should get the new promotion, or I should be a better parent. I should be a better business owner. And every time we're living in the should and we're not living in the now, we're robbing ourselves of the gifts that we have every day. And for many of my clients, yes, there is a place where they want to be. They want to be maybe more successful entrepreneurs. They want to be speakers. They want to launch a podcast. So many different things out there, right? But what I remind them is that the skills and the gifts that they have today that they're taking for granted are the gifts that are going to help them propel to the next level, and that they really have to celebrate what they have now in order to get to the next level. Because that sometimes is something that we forget about. And for many individuals, we we think we don't measure up. We think we need to be somebody else. But when we're trying to achieve the thing that somebody else has, we're also trying to be that person. And we're never going to hit that mark. We're never going to hit it because we are us. I'm Julie. If, for instance, if I'm trying to be the Mel Robbins, I'm never going to be a Mel Robbins. I'm going to be Julie. So how I show up in the world, I may have some similar beliefs. I may have some aligned perspective and values with Mel, and I love her. But every time that I think I'm going to be a Mel Robbins, I'm going to suffer and I'm not going to move further in my path. I'm not going to achieve the things that I want. So as soon as we become more aware, hey, let me see what Julie can do. What are the gifts that Julie has? And begin to expand and build on those gifts and celebrate those and grow in those gifts, then I can get to where I want to be and make the impact that I want.
How difficult is it for people in general to distinguish between who they can be and not comparing themselves to others?
I think that it depends on the level of support that you have and the level of awareness. We hear awareness all the time. We hear, oh, we have to be aware, but there is a level of us that doesn't want to be aware. There's a level also that it's saying, hey, this is the pinnacle. This is what we should reach for. But we never realize that what got somebody there may not be what gets us there, because they're leveraging their gifts. They're leveraging their community. The other thing too that hinders our progress is, who do we surround ourselves with? I think, for many of us, especially in the entrepreneur world, we tell our friends and family, hey, I'm doing this, I'm launching my business, or I'm starting a podcast. And they're going to be like, oh, that's nice. Right. Whereas if I go to a group of podcasters and entrepreneurs and I say, hey, I'm launching a show, this is what I'm doing with my business, they're going to be like, oh my God, that's amazing. That's so great. And guess who's going to give me the support and accountability that is needed, right? Those people that get it. And a lot of times we spend a lot of time with individuals who we love, who they care about us, but may not necessarily have caught the vision of what we want or have done the thing that we want to do. So it's difficult for us to move forward.
That was a difficult journey for myself because I spoke to someone and they were surprised that I didn't have the support that they feel that I needed from those
Yeah.
around me.
Mm,
And one thing I told people is that my dream is not someone else's dream, just like how their
yeah.
dream is not my dream, meaning that it's their baby, right?
Mm,
I guess the best comparison is when you have children, you're going to love that child, you're going to appreciate that child, but people in the world are just going to view that child as another human being walking the earth. You're
right.
just one
Right.
of 7 billion.
Yeah.
So when I discovered that, I had to search for what you said is the right people. And then when I surrounded myself with the right people,
Mhm.
it was like every step, someone was cheering me on. Terrain, you got this. You can do this. I'm so proud of you. What's
Mhm.
next? What's your 1-year plan? What's your 3-year plan? What's your 5-year plan?
Yeah.
It was people supporting me in ways that I didn't even think about. right? They said,
Yeah.
hey, have you tried this? Have you tried that?
Mhm.
But one lesson that I learned that was a very hard lesson was that sometimes there's going to be people who are not even going to care to the point where they may even talk down to it. Have you
Yes.
dealt with people that have experienced that as well?
I deal with that a lot. I have a client. We've been working for a while, and she decided to launch her business. She's had this dream. She makes products. They're products that she sells on Etsy and in different places. And by the way, I'm sharing the story because she's given me permission to share the story. But her husband really hated the fact that she had this business. She's like, "Why can't you just get a job?" And she had this incredible hobby, something that she's incredibly talented at and feels passionate about, that she wanted to put out into the world and, hey, maybe make a couple extra $100 here and there. But what she found is that in the process, there's the regular difficulties that we encounter in building a business. Um, but now she also had somebody else telling him, "Hey, don't do that. Go do this, or you need to do this, and you'll never make money doing that." So she had to not only manage her own doubts, she had to manage the judgment and sabotaging words of somebody else who she respected and cares about, right? And then she had to navigate the regular hurdles that comes from being an entrepreneur. So it wasn't until she said, "You know what? I'm going to go all in. And the only opinion that's going to matter is the opinion of me. And I'm going to find evidence that people like what I do, that this is something that I can actually create income from." And when she started to create a daily action of noticing and looking at what she's able to gain, right, as opposed to noticing the gap. There's a book by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Harding called The Gap and the Gain. And this is a little bit of what I help a lot of my clients with. If we are looking at all the things that we're gapping, right? Maybe, oh my gosh, you're not making enough money. Who's going to buy this stuff? And we tell ourselves that, but then listening to other people say that, as opposed to, wow, I made a sale today. Oh, someone left me a review and they said that they really love this thing. And wow, people really love me posting a video of how I make it, right? That's the gain. And creating that momentum from that gain is what gets you going, as opposed to staying stuck in that gap. And listen, our spouses, our friends, our parents, they're the people that we desire the most acceptance with, and we value their opinion. And her husband, ultimately, and this is what I said to her, your husband loves you. He's trying to protect you. That's the main reason, but it's really important to live in your own opinions first before you go asking for validation outside of yourself. And that's one of the things that many people forget.
Is that a difficult journey for many people to go through and come out successful on the other end?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I look at even at the flip side of that coin, right? I started my business 3 years ago, and my husband, he's part of the business. He is the person that does the podcast editing and our full right now we have a full podcasting production company. And he's very supportive of everything I do. However, there's a lot of times that as a business owner, I have this vision, I have this plan, and I will say, "Hey, I'm going to do XYZ for the business." Like, "Oh, I don't know." And I value his opinion, but I have to remember that what is my vision? What are the things that I want to go forward? And I have a full picture. And for as much as I try to explain it to others, it's not until someone, and even as close as he is being involved in the business, will get that full perspective. So listen to that little voice. Surround yourself with people. And by the way, when my husband will say, "Oh, that's crazy, don't do that," I'll say, "Okay, I'll take that into account." But then I'll go back to people who have done what I want to do. And I say, "Hey, I want to do this, and this is how I want to do it. What do you think?" And not to say that somebody else's opinion is more valuable than my husband, but somebody else's experience where he doesn't have that experience. it's more valuable. Now, if I'm trying to build a rocket ship, if I'm trying to test materials in aerospace, I'm going to go to my husband because that's what he does in his real world, right? Because I have no idea about that. So again, the experience of somebody who has done it as opposed to the opinion to someone who loves you and is trying to protect you and may not know how to do what you're trying to do. It's something that you have to weigh in, and it's different for everybody.
For those who are watching on Facebook, YouTube, and my website, please subscribe, like, and share for more incredible interviews like the one we have with Julie. And we will be back.